The first banner of 2019 is going to be our second New Year's seasonal banner. This year it features 4 of our Book 2 characters. We have Years Fjorm, Laevatein, Hríd, and Gunnthrá back from the dead. There is also a New Year's leg yarn as well, and she will be the Tempest Trials reward that debuts alongside this banner. Speaking of which, this banner should be out on New Year's Day or late New Year's Eve for some. Now, not all of our favorite Book 2 characters are here this time, but all I'm hoping for in the future is some fun Nilgr and Hellbindi seasonal alts. Getting back on track, this video will cover all of the stats and new weapons and skills for these units, plus some additional build options. Let's get right into it. First up is Years Fjorm. She's flipping things around and is a flying green archer. Our other 2 flying archers are both colorless, so Fjorm is one of a kind for now. For her stats, she has adopted a more offensive role with 39 HP, 35 attack, 35 speed, 20 defense, and 21 resistance. 35 attack and speed is fantastic, and she'll be looking to use both stats to hit hard and hit often. While her defensive stats aren't terrible, she won't be an amazing defensive unit, much like her original form. Colored archers are still few in numbers, but just remember that Fjorm will be stronger against blue units and weaker to red units. I know many people don't seem to like the colored archers much, but I think they do have a place on certain teams. Before we touch on Fjorm's new weapon, she brings along 4 old but powerful skills. Reposition is obviously very good for flying units, and I think it works well on any flyer. Attack and speed bond will give Fjorm extra power when next to her allies, and she can get even stronger thanks to attack and speed link. Have Fjorm or an ally use a movement assist skill like reposition to get an additional +6 attack and speed field buff. To further buff up allies, even Res Wave will be providing extra protection to Fjorm and adjacent allies every other turn. Years Fjorm can either fight for herself or support her allies, which is really nice. This is even more true when you include her new bow. The Gunnthrá Plus bow is a 12 might inheritable bow that inflicts a -7 speed debuff on the fastest enemy at the start of each turn. This is the same effect as Chill Speed 3. While not directly empowering the user, Chill Speed is strong because it cripples a unit who might depend on that high speed stat to double enemies. Generally, this will hit one of the enemy's main attackers, and it can help stop their offensive and even allow you to possibly double them first. This is a really great support option for archers because the user doesn't have to do anything to make Chill Speed work, they just have to survive. The Gunnthrá bow might find nice synergy with an actual Chill B skill or even Ploy and Smoke skills for maximum debuffing. Like most new units these days, Years Fjorm is pretty decent out of the box. I would upgrade the Gunnthrá Plus for extra speed, although extra res might be good too. Fjorm has so many attack and speed buffs already, so really why not add more? The new Tempest Trials is introducing an attack and speed bond seal, so if you want it, you can double up on this skill. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of attack and speed bond on ranged attackers because most times I have them moving toward the enemy to attack first. It can be hard to ensure an ally is next to them all the time, so if you want, just swap attack and speed bond out for Swift Sparrow, Life and Death, Darting Blow, etc. Regarding attack and speed link, it's actually really strong thanks to Gunnthrá Plus. Fjorm can chill speed the fastest enemy and then buff up her own team or herself with +6 attack and speed, which should give them a huge advantage against the affected enemy. I think this is a really nice strategy in general. Now, you can just also go for double chill skills if you want, although attack and speed link is very powerful. You can pair the Gunnthrá Plus with chill defense and then attack smoke to hit multiple enemies. I'm just listing Fury as another potential A skill since once again attack and speed bond can be a bit hard to use when on the attack. Unfortunately, Years Fjorm doesn't have the greatest res stat, but another archer could make use of the Gunnthrá Plus and double ploy skills. It's not going to be a powerhouse weapon, but if you want to make an annoying debuffing team, then having a chill effect on a weapon might be something you want to look into. I don't think Fjorm is going to be a crazy powerful unit, but she has some very nice tools at her disposal. Moving on, we have Years Laevatein, and she is accompanied by our messenger owl, Faye. Laevatein has put down her sword to become a cavalry healer. She has 33 HP, 36 attack, 30 speed, 27 defense, and 18 resistance. While not as fast as Brave Veronica, a plus speed Laevatein will beat out a neutral Maribel in attack and speed, so she's not bad at all. Her 36 base attack is highest among all cavalry healers, and all she really needs is some extra speed if you want to use her offensively. Years Laevatein brings some good fodder skills such as Wrathful Staff and even Defense Wave. She has easy access to the Wrathful and Dazzling Staff combo, plus has a great defensive buff for herself and allies. Rehabilitate is a strong healing skill for bringing units who are almost dead back to full HP, but it doesn't heal much if the target is above 50% HP. Laevatein's new staff is called Kumade Plus, and it also features Faye riding on top. I like to imagine it's the real Fae and Laevatein sends her to attack enemies. Now at the start of every turn, Kumade Plus inflicts a -5 attack and speed debuff on the enemy with the highest defense stat. So this is kind of like a chill skill, just that it's targeting what will probably be the enemy tank. Some units may not care about 5 less speed, but -5 attack will affect any unit hit, so it's still very useful. This staff doesn't require any combat to activate, so it's a great weapon for healers who don't want to get hit. If you use Chill Defense with Kumade Plus, then you can actually debuff 3 stats on one unit, because Chill Defense will also target the enemy with the highest defense stat. Honestly, that's probably not a bad setup. NEWYEARS Laevatein also has another new skill called Earthfire Bomb Plus. This is a healer only special which activates after healing an ally. When activated, Earthfire Bomb Plus will buff the entire team with +6 attack and defense, which can be clutch for some situations. This buff is global, so your healer can buff a unit on the other side of the map potentially. These Bomb Plus specials are still relatively new, but I do think they are pretty effective. They have screwed me up in 8th raids sometimes when I don't expect it. As with most healer builds, you have a lot of customization options. What staff weapon to pick, what healing assist skill to use, and what healing special can be mixed and matched to varying degrees. NEWYEARS Laevatein is already pretty set, plus she comes with Wrathful Staff, which means you can upgrade her weapon with the Dazzling Staff upgrade. If you want something super simple, you could just give her attack +3, because then she will reach 51 attack and she'll be dealing full damage with Wrathful Staff. That can allow her to be a nice backup mage since she is on a horse and she can swoop in the chip away at targets too. Earthfire Bomb and even Defense Wave are 2 nice support skills, so you could also add a buff in Sacred Seal if you want extra support. If you really want Laevatein to be a more offensive threat, then she will need some extra speed. A plus speed nature would be great, but you can also just give her premium skills like attack and speed push or attack and speed solo if you have extra copies. Of course, this can be used with the Pain Plus staff and Savage Blow skills if you want to do the out of combat splash damage builds. Our third unit is Hríd, who is already back from his legendary status. Hríd has kept his blade wielding skills, but has traded in his horse for a flying Kinshi. His stats are 42 HP, 38 attack, 19 speed, 36 defense, and 27 resistance. You'll notice that this is pretty much the exact same stat line as his original self, just with some extra points. Hríd is extremely slow, but has great attack and defense, plus decent HP and resistance. He's not going to have as much offensive power without his legendary sword, but he will still be a very dependable enemy phase tank. Hríd's kit is very simple and extremely honest. Swap is great on tanks to trade places with their allies. Attack and speed bond is going to make him hit even harder and take less damage when next to his team. Then we have Quick Riposte, which is the enemy phase tank skill. It lets him double when attacked first, and Hríd is going to want to set up next to his allies and let the enemy come to him. Like Fjorm, Hríd has a new inheritable chill effect weapon. The Geishun Plus is a sword with chill attack 3 built in, which hits the enemy with the highest attack for a -7 attack debuff. Obviously this is very good because it means they deal even less damage. It also means Hríd's job at tanking gets even easier. It's a very good weapon for him even if it's not as fancy as his old sword. As with the Kaburaya bow, you can pair Geishun with another debuffing skill for maximum annoyance. You might want to bring a harsh command unit when you tackle these paralog maps. So Hríd also introduces another tier 4 skill. He has Hone Attack 4, which gets a very nice upgrade from its previous tier. Hone Attack 4 will buff adjacent allies with a massive +7 attack field buff. I absolutely love the basic Hones and Fortifies because they work on any team and on any unit. Obviously, since the game's launch, these skills have gathered some major competition. You have the tactic buffs and the wave buffs, and Winter Erica's new attack opening buff. There's a lot to choose from, but the basic Hone and Fortifies are super consistent and easy to use. With the recent addition of Legendary Azura, Hone Attack 4 is a prime skill for her. She can buff up her allies with the +7 attack, and then her prayer wheel weapon can turn that into +7 for all stats when she dances them. If you have a Blade Tongue Mage, this might be the easiest way to get 35 extra attack, which is just insane. It should be pretty obvious, but if you like Legendary Azura, then you should probably try to get a Hone Attack 4. As for builds, Hríd holds a pretty unique niche. He fills the red flyer role of that slow but tanky unit, kind of like a red Baruka, except Hríd has excellent attack in exchange for all his speed. In the red flyer group, he ties for highest HP and defense, ties for second highest res, and by far has the highest attack stat. 19 speed is pretty abysmal, but that's okay because as we talked about, Hríd's job is to be an enemy phase tank. Geishun Plus can be refined for even more defense or resistance, and then attack and defense bond plus quick riposte is such a good build already. If you want, you can even use the new attack and defense bond Sacred Seal for +10 attack and defense just for being next to an ally. Bonfire or Ignis should be pretty obvious special choices. As for Horn Attack 4, well, it's a great support skill for the rest of the team and you can literally slap it on any unit. If you want something a bit more selfish for Hríd himself, then he can try out the Barrier Blade for extra resistance or the Safeguard Sword for more defense. Both work only on the enemy phase and you can upgrade them both with extra stats as well. Hríd is basically a flying Xander if you give him distant counter, although I'm not the biggest fan of distant counter flyers. Without IO shield, distant counter loses some value, and if you do use it, you sacrifice potential stat buffs. If you do need a flyer who can deal with archers, then it's a fine setup however, and since we are using weapons that grant stat points, I think Hríd can pull it off nicely. If you don't care about range combat, then the Safeguard Sword with close defense will turn Hríd into an absolute melee tank. I think Hríd is actually a really good unit. He fills a niche role for red flyers and has a super easy to execute kit. You don't need to be fancy to be effective. On the complete opposite spectrum of Hríd, we have NEWYEARS Gunnthrá. While she's been away, she must have been studying the blade because Gunnthrá is also a flying sword unit. Her stats include 38 HP, 34 attack, 37 speed, 27 defense, and 26 resistance. A pretty darn good offensive stat line and manageable defensive bulk. Gunnthrá is ready to rumble. In terms of base stats, Gunnthrá is only behind Legendary Ryoma in speed and ties him in attack. Gunnthrā's offensive stats are only further improved with Sir Sparrow, and Desperation lets her double immediately when she's low on HP. Glimmer can be decent on Gunnthrá, but it's easily interchanged with Moonbow. Gunnthrá actually gets the one legendary weapon for this banner. Hikami is exclusive to Gunnthrá and it's a 16 might sword that also grants a flat +3 speed. If you're keeping track, this brings Gunnthrá up to 40 base speed with Hikami equipped. Its second effect states, at the start of the turn, inflicts a -4 debuff to all stats on the nearest foes within 4 spaces. Oh boy, 4 spaces is huge, at least on normal sized maps. Unless I'm forgetting something, I believe the nearest foe or nearest ally mechanic is relatively new. I think the only other effects come from the 2 new Generals of Hell's weapons. Those affect the nearest ally, while Hikami affects the nearest foe. Now, due to the wording, I have to believe that this means multiple foes can be affected as long as they are the same number of spaces away. So if there are 2 enemies both 4 spaces away from Gunnthrá, then both of them should get hit with the -4 stat debuff. If there are 2 enemies 4 spaces away and then there's a single enemy 3 spaces away, then only the one 3 spaces away would be affected since they are the closest. This would appear to be a pretty crazy ability. With 4 spaces, Gunnthrá can just debuff non-cavalry melee units without even being in their attack range. If they aren't moving, then Gunnthrá or an ally can stand in their attack range to bait in a weakened foe. With her flyer mobility, Gunnthrá should have an easy time positioning if there is a specific foe you want to debuff. Unfortunately, it is possible for Hikami to miss an important target since it only targets the closest enemy. Hikami isn't the only special skill Gunnthrá has because she introduces a brand new skill type. Joint Hone Speed appears to be a tier 4 skill, but unlike Hone Attack 4, it works a bit differently than the base effect. At the start of the turn, if the user is adjacent to an ally, then the ally gets a +5 speed field buff, and the user also receives a +5 speed field buff. This is very similar to how the wave skills function, however the joint buff will not buff the user if they are alone. Comparatively, it's a wave skill that works every turn in exchange for 1 stat point. That may make it seem more consistent, but again, the wave buff still has the advantage of buffing the user when they are alone. I wouldn't say Joint Hone Speed devalues the wave buffs, but it's just another buffing option. I do think that these joint buffs will be better for teams who absolutely know they are going to stick together. I would take the every turn consistency over 1 less stat point. However, if the team gets split up, then the joint buff becomes worthless, while a wave buff may save you because it was the right turn. Without changing anything, NEWYEARS Gunnthrá is pretty scary. With Hikami, Swift Sparrow, and Joint Hone Speed active, she can reach 49 speed on initiations. With Hikami's debuff, an enemy would need to have 49 speed to avoid Gunnthrā's double in this situation. After her first battle, Gunnthrá should be able to take a hit back, and that may place her in Desperation range. Obviously she has a ton of speed to make Desperation work, and she can hit decently hard. I think she can use Heavy Blade too since Hikami debuffs attack, but that only applies if Gunnthrá is attacking the closest enemy. If you just want to keep his base kit intact for the most part, then I would add Reposition, maybe swap Glimmer for Moonbow, and then also maybe swap Swift Sparrow for Fury 3. Gunnthrá is just built for offense, but with Hikami she can apply important debuffs too, which supports the team. If you aren't impressed with Hikami, there is always the Fire Sweep build. NEWYEARS Gunnthrá is the second best Fire Sweep sword user after Legendary Ryoma if you want to use flyers. The Fire Sweep build is pretty simple with Swift Sparrow or Life and Death, hopefully getting Gunnthrá 2 hits in without getting hit back. With joint hone speed, Gunnthrá just needs an attack buff to really get off the ground, and she can use hit and run to retreat after her attacks. I've listed Quicken Pulse as an option, but she can use Heavy Blade just as long as she gets more attack buffs. With Heavy Blade, she can proc Moonbow on her second attack, which just further increases her damage output. In summary, Years Fjorm is our first flying green archer, and her Kabutoya bow has built-in chill speed. Years Laevatein is a cavalry healer with a chill attack and speed like staff, and it targets the enemy with the highest defense stat. Years Hríd is a slow but tanky sword flyer. His Geishun plus sword has built-in chill attack, and he comes with Hone attack 4. As for Years Gunnthrá, she is also a sword flyer but has great offensive stats. Her Hikami's sword can debuff the closest enemy within a 4 space range, and she has joint hone speed, which allows her to buff herself. I would have to say that Gunnthrá and Hríd look like the most interesting units. Fjorm has good stats too, but the colored archer slot hasn't been a hot commodity just yet, maybe in the future. As for Laevatein, her staff is cool, but she isn't going to be more of a problem than any of the other healers. Now I will say that I think everyone has some pretty great artwork, and I'm looking forward to this banner. A reminder that there is another Tempest Trials coming up, and it releases the same day as this banner. It features Years leg yarn as the reward, along with 3 more sacred seals. I have a separate video about this event coming soon. Thankfully, this banner's information released early, so I was able to make these videos before New Year's Day, have fun celebrating the new year, and there is supposed to be a New Year celebration for Fire Emblem Heroes according to the event calendar. Hopefully that means more orbs. Thanks for watching, good luck on your summons, and I'll see you guys soon.